Everybody. My name is Awasar, and I'm Assistant Director for Academic Affairs at the African Studies Center. And this is Eye on Africa, our weekly seminary series. We're very delighted today to have a special Eye on Africa. About a year ago, we met Mr. Solomon Barrett at ASA in California. And then when we came back in our office in the African Studies, we were all very impressed by the work he was doing. And then we had this suggestion that we should invite him to Eye on Africa and talk about the work he does. But for some reason, he decided, instead of talking about himself and his work, to invite other organizations that he's working with to do the Eye on Africa. So that was very generous of him. And this is a collaboration for this fall. We have having two talks that he will be moderating. So this talk is in collaboration with Mr. Salomon, who is the Executive Director of USAFI. And we're very delighted today to start this collaboration and hope that it will lead us to more collaborations. We also thank Sheku Mohamed Gassimu and Bernadette Musu Mustapha for accepting to participate and share their work with us today. So before I pass it to Mr. Barrett to introduce our guest, I will introduce him first. Mr. Barrett currently serves as the Alliance Manager of the East Contra Costa Community Alliance. In his capacity, he is responsible for developing a coordinated strategy to foster stronger collaboration, build a shared platform for advocacy, and work towards strengthening the nonprofit ecosystem's sustainability with capacity development and increased philanthropic investment. The Alliance has grown to 17 organizations during his tenure. He also serves as the president of the Anchios Community Foundation and is a board member of the Village Community Resource Center and man-to-man urban youth advocate. And he has many other organizations that he is part of. He has extensive experiences in nonprofit management and has held key senior leadership positions with various organizations, including the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops supporting U.S. domestic refugee resettlement programs throughout the United States. He leads Catholic Charities of the East Bay as its chief executive officer for more than a decade, growing the organization's budget from less than 3 million to over 70 million while building a strong endowment. And many, just for the sake of time, I will not list all his accomplishment, but just say that in recognition of his strong background and leadership experiences, he was invited to join the planning group for the establishment of an Office of Racial Equity and Social Justice in Contra Costa County. More recently, he has also been invited to serve as a regional advisory for the Northern California Grantmakers Nonprofit Sustainability Initiative. Mr. Barrett has a degree in sociology and an MBA in strategic leadership. He has a passion for building stronger ties between the United States and Africa. Thank you so much, Mr. Barrett, for your collaboration, your commitment to this week. We appreciate you. So I'll pass it on to you to introduce our guest.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sar. It was a pleasure meeting you that day in San Francisco, which has led us to develop this relationship that we're launching for the first time by way of a presentation that USAFI is co-hosting with Michigan State University and East Lansing, Michigan. So I won't take too much time. I know there are many, probably at least a few USAFI leaders and members of our leadership team that are also attending, and I'm glad that they're able to join us this morning. And but more excited to really hear from our presenters today. So let me also take a few minutes to introduce them and then provide a little context about their talk today. So Mr. Sheku Mohamed Gassimu Jr. is the Partnership and Program Director at OneVillage Partners, which puts communities in Sierra Leone at the forefront of improving, let me do this, of improving their personal and collective well-being. Sheku has over 8 years of experience guiding grounded grassroots community-led development well-being programs designed and implemented by communities for communities. He provides strategic leadership to guide the direction of the movement for community-led development in Sierra Leone and is a member of the Tostan LAFIA's advisory group and the Global Assembly of the Movement for Community-Led Development. He holds a Bachelor of Science honors in Sociology and a Master's in Community Development from Njala University in Sierra Leone. He's also accompanied by Bernadette Musu Mustapha, who has been active in the women's empowerment programming since 2016. She is currently the Women's Empowerment Program Manager at OneVillage Partners. She is a skilled trainer, facilitator, and passionate advocate for women. She leads the frequent refresher training of trainers modules for her team to help build the capacity of rural community women and empower them to use their voices, strengthen their household finances, and improve their food security. Bernadette holds a National Diploma in Accounting and Finance from Eastern Technical University in Sierra Leone. So we're very, very delighted to have both of them today to give us their perspective on what's going on in terms of development in Sierra Leone. So a little bit about the talk. In this session, our two panelists will explore the legacy of colonization, slavery, the Civil War, and the Ebola epidemic in Sierra Leone, and their impact on 8.4 million people today, and how that history and its associated challenges should not define the country and its people. They will share their experience and how they have been very intentional as an organization to move away from charity to decolonization and their work. So without further ado, I will turn the floor to our distinguished panelists, Sheku and Bernadette. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Solomon, for the introduction, and also thank you to Awa for the mobilization. We are honored to be on this platform to actually talk about our organization and also some of the work that we are doing and ensuring that we move away from providing just humanitarian assistance to communities, but ensuring that we are building a system that is based on partnership. So Bernadette and I will explore. Okay. So just as I'm talking, and I will take a little time to introduce our organization, OneVillage Partners, our journey from charity to decolonization. And once again, I am Sheku Mohamed Gassimu Jr, the Partnership and Programs Director at OneVillage Partners. So, but we actually move through directly into this conversation. Who we are as an organization. So, as an organization, our mission is to enhance collective well-being by investing in people and communities through partnership. We envision a future where Sierra Leoneans themselves can amplify their collective power to lead transformational change in their communities. So some of the values that we really hold so dear to us, we are community-led. We believe that community partners are best suited to define what it means to thrive. So we do not define change for community members. They themselves are at the center of defining what change is. We are disciplined because we assess our approach in response to data and feedback. Some of the values that we really hold dear, we are sustainable. We believe that we focus on lasting solutions that enhance collective well-being to our Sierra Leonean partners, because we believe that development that are targeted should be sustainable. It should be grounded in the opinion and experiences of community members are going to be impacted by the change. So we be equitable in the sense that we seek the full participation of all people in our communities and programs. So everyone not only to participate, but to know why they should participate in our programs. We believe in partnership because we foster partnership built on mutual trust within Sierra Leone. Yeah, so about OneVillage Partners, we as an organization will partner with rural communities in Sierra Leone and provide them the tools and trainings they need to effectively make the city and regional levels. And we believe so much in this approach because we believe that building, it's not by building capacity, it's by enhancing capacity that development actually works. So our programs result in projects that actually improve quality of life and encourage inclusive leadership, social cohesion, vigilance, health, and collective well-being. These are some of the things that we see through our programs. And for our history, OneVillage Partners as an organization, we actually started way more long before in 2010, because it started at maybe just very quickly around that. So by 2010, we are already started officially in the United States. In the United States. By 2014, after the Ebola outbreak, OneVillage Partners kind of like shifted its approach from humanitarian assistance to intentional community-led development. By 2017, our reach expanded beyond 400% and partner with over 15 communities across rural Sierra Leone. Today, we have our offices located across rural Sierra Leone in 4 offices currently established. So we keep on kind of like the work that we are doing. So OneVillage Partners is an organization that is operating within Africa, but in West Africa, the western part of Africa is where actually we are kind of like operating. So currently in West Africa, we are in Sierra Leone, but in Sierra Leone, we are located in the eastern part of Sierra Leone. And we have partnered with 2 districts where we currently have over 53 communities that we are working with, that we continue to work with. But also we have impacted over 50,000 people. Currently, we have 600 plus community volunteers that we have trained to use participatory appraisal tools, and also in leadership and facilitation skills. And also, we also have in our Women's Empowerment Program over 1,612 participants that we have also trained. So also, for us, it is very important how we introduce ourselves to our communities. So that is the basis that lay the foundation for relational building and also long-lasting interaction with the community. So we introduce ourselves as the sharpening stone to our communities. By the sharpening stone, we know this is actually one tool that the farmers use a lot in order to sharpen their machete or cutlasses for them to be able to do well to do their work well, or to clear the portion of farm that they want to cultivate. So a farmer, this is how the story goes. A farmer that wants to actually clear a large portion of land, but has a very dull cutlass. Invited friends to support him to do this particular work. They all came, all of them with dull cutlasses, spend the whole day brushing. But while they were able to do the brushing, it was very challenging because it was difficult for them, and they could not do an effective and efficient work. This farmer realizes the need to sharpen his cutlass, and sharpen his cutlass the next day, invited friends to also sharpen their cutlass. They all did, and also then they go to the farm and do the work. On that day, they were able to do the work easily, effectively, and efficiently. In this story, OneVillage Partner is a sharpening stone. So we are in the community not to do the work for the communities, but to empower the communities to enhance their capacity to use their energy to do their own work well. So that's what how we introduce ourselves to communities. So as we enter into the communities, we try to do demographic surveys. This demographic survey is for us to understand the multi-dimensional poverty level in the communities, but also understand the social lives of community members, as well as understanding the social capital present in these communities. So I am going to pass it on to Bernadette. She will be leading us through the programs that we implement in communities briefly.
Yeah, thank you, Director. So at OneVillage Partners, we have so many programs that we collaboratively work with our community members, one of which is the participatory land use mapping and planning. We map the community boundaries overall, land use, land ownership and tenure, agricultural use, and customary land rights. Why do we do that? We want to create an awareness of land use and rights, help the participants and community to understand the land jobs. We collaboratively budget and design an intervention and value our local expertise, helping them know what they know. We believe by designing local solutions to local problems, it ensures that everyone's feedback is counted. The community is the expert on their own problems. In the program implementation, we have the project implementation. We build an intervention that are more suitable and sustainable for the participants because they have the participation. We provide materials for the community members to do their own work better. We believe by strengthening the expertise to lead the change they want to see, sustainably improve the quality of life. And our nurturing opportunities for women's program here at OneVillage Partners has 3 phases. The program is entirely a picture-based financial literacy program for marginalized and gender equity education for families. The now one which talks about the household financial planning, where we train the women on household finances, how best they can manage their resources, how they can communicate with their families and be able to use the natural resources they have in order to improve the well-being of their families. We have the now two, which is the improving income through business skills. We train these participants on the best practices when someone is embarking on a business, such as like the market survey, the demand and supply of a product, and how best they can track their income and expenses. The now 3 is the agricultural activities, where we train our participants and community members on best farming practices, because we believe their main livelihood is from farming activities. So we train them to know the best farming practices, like the agricultural calendar, the climate change, how best they can do their farming activities that will enable them to have more food security. We want to create a well-being and open communication in household that will lead to enhance the voice of women in household and community at large. We also have the LEAD program, which is the Leadership, Engagement, and Development. We are in OneVillage Partners empower the community members to more independently implement solutions to their community problems and advocate directly for those solutions. We provide a platform for the community members to local governments that they will collaborate well. We believe that communities are able to now transform their community without an NGO and can continue to work with the government for better well-being of their communities.
So this leads us to why are we implementing our programs in Sierra Leone, which is also very important for us, because one, Sierra Leone has been through a series of historical events that actually continue to negatively impact its socio-economic recovery. And one of the reasons for us, it's really about looking at the global slave trade. Sierra Leone was centered to the global slave trade from the 15th century up until the mid-19th century. And the country was really impacted by this as a whole. And also looking at Sierra Leone was actually colonized by the British and was declared independence from the British in April 1961. This if event continue to actually impact the socio-economic recovery of the country as a whole. That actually has resulted to high level of multi-dimensional poverty level across Sierra Leone, job unemployment for youth, inequality. Those kind of things continue to affect the country and also rural communities largely. As the country was about to recover from these events, we also had a civil war in Sierra Leone up to 2002 when the civil war ended. This civil war resulted to the death of 50,000 of our compatriots and many other people were displaced. So this also negatively impacted the socio-economic recovery of Sierra Leone. Also, as the country was about to recover from this, we had the 2014 that also resulted to the death of over 3,000 of our compatriots. So all of these events has resulted in the increase of multi-dimensional poverty, and rural communities continue to be the end of these events largely. So this is one of the reasons why these are some of the reasons why we believe that our work in rural Sierra Leone is called for, and it's also kind of like something that is worth for us to do. So we are not there to actually kind of lead this process, but we are there to provide a platform for communities so that they themselves can lead the process and define what the change they want to see for themselves. However, from OneVillage Partners, we have deliberately refused to describe Sierra Leone based on this unfortunate historical event, because we believe that Sierra Leoneans have demonstrated a lot of leadership, resiliency, and collective aspiration to move forward. So we believe that we are looking at Sierra Leone from a different kind of perspective. It's people with a lot of leadership potential, people that wants to move forward in their own stride. So some of the steps we have really taken to actually ensure that we are moving away from this charity to decolonization. One of the first things we have done is that by mid-2020, our white folks in the United States, because we have our colleagues in the United States, in Minnesota, Minneapolis, they started having monthly conversations, doing monthly calls to actually look into the power relationships, the imbalance of power within the organization, and how we work with the communities that we continue to serve. This actually helps us to begin to realize and begins to open space for dialogue, for conversation. And that was actually very effective and helping us to establish the Decolonization Committee. This committee in the organization is comprised of our white folks and our Sierra Leonean colleagues who meet once in a month to have a conversation around power imbalance and power relationship, and how we can all collectively ensure that people have a platform to contribute, but also they have a platform to share their story. Who is sharing the story for us? Who is actually leading this? Who is making decisions for programs that have been implemented in Sierra Leone? So all this committee has been very effective in helping us to dialogue and go and move forward. Also, we have ensured that we are very intentional about looking at our external and internal communications. Our external communication has been very crucial. How do we refer to the communities? Initially, we are calling the communities beneficiaries, but now, because we believe in partnership as the leading kind of model in ensuring that communities also feel value, that community also feels that they have power in their hands to contribute. So we started referring to them directly as partners rather than beneficiaries. So also within the organization, how can we get the Sierra Leone staff to directly communicate with the board? So we started having organizing town halls so that people themselves can share their story. Also, finally, we also continue to have put the community in front and center of whatever we are doing. So our programs are highly influenced by the feedback from the community. So all of our programs were designed putting the communities at the center. So to ensure that at the end of the day, they are really the ones, we are led by their vision. We understand, we look at the holistic picture of the situation, not only looking at individual people benefiting from programs, but communities themselves benefit from the programs. So they are the ones deciding or leading us as we move. So in other words, we are more people-centered and community-led because we believe that the vision of the community should lead the process. They should be the one kind of like leading our conversations. They should be the one giving their consent. They should be the one sharing their stories. So all of these, we are actually an embodiment of how we continue to decolonize our work from not only responding to need, but making sure that those who are responding to their needs are leading the conversation, where they are making the decisions, they also have the right to decline if they don't want to participate or partner with us. I'm going to leave this conversation by sharing a quotation from one of our members, Mami Kaba from Tikonko. She shared this in particular quotation with us. Everyone votes and democracy wins. OneVillage Partners is not giving us it's giving us the freedom to get what we really want, not what other people think, what we really need, not what other people think we want. So it's really sorry for that. So everyone votes, democracy wins. OneVillage Partner is giving us the freedom to get what we really need, not what people think we want. So I think this is really a driving force, and I'm really kind of continue to be inspired by this quotation from Mami Kaba. Thank you. So
thank you very much. Thank you, Sheku and Bernadette. Now I let it to Solomon to open the floor for debate.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheku, and thank you, Bernadette. Wish we were able to look at your slide presentation, and I know you tried, it didn't work, but we'll make sure that the information is shared, and of course the entire thing is also being recorded for those that were not able to join us today. But what an impressive presentation by both of you. And I will just ask a few questions, and I'm sure there will be other questions that will be coming through the chat, and we'll make sure that we give those questions an opportunity as well for you to hear. But let me just begin by maybe you helping us understand this whole decolonization framing. And because it represents a huge and significant shift in mindset. And curious on how you're going about it in terms of making sure that becomes strongly embedded in the community, that everyone has that shared understanding of what you're trying to do, based on this framework of decolonization. If you would you be kind enough to elaborate further on that? And then related to that is a question I have about how are you connecting with academia, with the academic community and educational institutions, universities and others to support the work that you're doing?
Yeah, thank you very much, Bernadette. So those are just few strategies or activities that we are doing to ensure that we continue to decolonize our work. So there are much more that we are doing, and we continue to learn and adapt accordingly to this process. So first of all, what we have done intentionally is by bringing this conversation to the staff, and broadening it to the staff so that they can participate into the discussion that our white colleagues started in 2020. By doing that, we have been able to have to shift a lot, some of the ways that we have been doing things a lot. So initially, we had a lot of white experts in Sierra Leone that are leading this conversation, but we worked back, and we have reduced the number of the white folks or experts in Sierra Leone. So that's one thing that we've been able to achieve, to ensure that Sierra Leoneans are leading the discussion, but also Sierra Leoneans are actually the ones that are sharing their stories. So what also we have done, like I made mention of the town halls that we continue to hold. This town hall is really providing the platform for community members, but also for the staff to share the story, because we are much more conscious about who are sharing the stories, who is getting the stories from the feed, and who is sharing the story widely. So in order to bridge that gap, we are able to, we started the town hall once in a month to bring our partners and also the staff in this town hall so that they can share their story directly, and our board will be able to listen, or the people who participate in these town halls are able to also listen from them directly, so that we are not kind of like resharing their stories. So we continue to really see this as a learning opportunity for us. But also we have continued to also improve on the leadership structure, getting more Sierra Leoneans into leadership so that they themselves can also participate in the decision-making of the organization, which is also very key, because initially it was more who is making decisions and who is implementing projects. So now we are getting those who are directly implementing the project in the field, sharing or making decisions that affect activities in the field. So this also is a way that we continue to kind of like shape and shift the dynamics of power. We are conscious of the fact that it's a complex kind of situation, because this has to do with mindset change, because when you look at the history of Sierra Leone, colonialism has actually leave behind a lot of legacy that continue to impact how people kind of like relate, how people kind of like even kind of like the confidence of people to share their opinions. So we are providing that platform and to ensure that we are enhancing the voices of different agencies in the communities that we are working with. So we are making sure that our programs are being shaped by their feedback, directly by their feedback, because they are the ones who should be leading this. Because what people need is the opportunity to participate, but not only to participate, but to also understand why they should participate. So ensuring that people understand this aspect, it is not really that we are shifting away from trying to build capacity, but trying to enhance capacity, because we know that there are a lot of capacities in these communities. So building capacity is something just out of our colonial legacy, that we have people assuming that people do not have capacity already present in those communities. But we have actually shifted away from that. So what we are doing is to enhance their capacity so that they can know that they know. It's very complex to get people to know that they already know in communities, but it's really about bringing this conversation on and sharing examples to these people is actually bringing a lot, and it's changing the way we are adapting our programs.
Yes. And also for like the communities we are working at, you see that back then from the colonial days, you see that only men are like taking decision for the whole community, speak out for women. But with our programs like OVP train them, we have like the family section wherein we bring in the husbands and the wife together to learn to actually know that everyone's opinion is being valued. So by that, we have been seeing even communities are practicing by shifting some responsibilities to the women rather than the men just taking lead on their project activities.
Yeah. So before answering the second part of your question, I want to also briefly kind of like say this. We have seen a lot of women in our communities being trusted with leadership roles. So that's kind of the changing the dynamics, that only men has the potential to take leadership roles. So women are now being considered largely to take leadership roles in these communities, but also coming to the academic sphere. So what we are doing currently, our colleagues in the United States continue to engage different academic institutions to ensure that we are also like bringing this conversation, because we know we are only starting this conversation. We are only moving too deep into this. We do not want to say this is the right step that we are taking, because we want to be very humble and in the steps that we are taking, and learn from what we are doing and see how this is actually working for us as we continue to engage collectively as a team, but also with the community. So there has been a lot of ways. We are currently trying to reach out to so many academic institutions to do a lot of research on this, but we continue to engage. Recently, we had a presentation done. So we want to continue to have this type of opportunities, more space, so that we can share this story and continue to also get feedback from you, people who are listening to us, and we can continue to adapt and improve on the steps that we are taking to decolonize our work.
Thank you both for responding to that question in a very thorough way. I appreciate that. And I will just ask one more question and see if there are any additional questions coming from the audience or from Dr. Sar. But one thing that has impressed me in listening to your presentation today is that you're making quite a distinction between what we typically talk about or tend to talk about, capacity building. You would rather not use that word capacity building, but capacity enhancement, because capacity building sort of has a colonial kind of legacy to it, whereas I think decolonization means more community centric, and so it is more about empowering the community and really shifting the power from the external forces, the external parties, to the communities. Could you say a little bit more about what you went through, sort of shifting sort of the narrative from capacity building to capacity enhancement? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so this is, thank you very much, Solomon, for the question. I think this is a conversation that we continue to also have internally and also in other sectors that we have been into. Because when we actually look at the powers that agencies or NGOs have, while they work with these communities, it's actually kind of like not empowering directly those who should be empowered. Like, we takes a lot of power in our own hands whilst we interact with this community. So it's a kind of like a self-reflection, a retrospection of our work, and how we try to go deeper to understand how the languages we use in the communities taking away power from the communities. So that's our waking, how we continue to see and how we continue to engage with them. So first of all, looking at when we try to really have a conversation, what does capacity building means? So some of the feedbacks that we get from staff and we have also received from other conversation is that it's really assumed that people do not already have capacity. So when we began to have this kind of conversation deeper and going into this, acknowledging some of the capacity that are already present in these communities in terms of religious knowledge, in terms of traditional knowledge, in terms of even how people kind of like contribute to conversation, it's really kind of like awakening our minds to begin to walk back, looking at the language what we are using in these communities. Is this language empowering the community, or is this language already assuming, taking away a lot of powers away from the communities? Because we are also learning, and I can tell you this very clearly, we are learning much more from the communities, more than the learnings that we are taking to these communities. Because a lot of the M&E kind of report we have received, it's actually very revealing to us that communities are contributing much more, even to the development of our programs, or how we adapt our programs, more than how we are contributing directly to the growth of knowledge in these communities. So that's actually is a conversation we are intentional about, and these are the conversations that we want to continue to have in more in different space.
Thanks, Sheku.
I hope that answers your question.
Sure. No, you did. You did. It was very, very helpful. I knew there was a logical sort of thinking that you had gone through and sort of coming up with a different language to kind of frame what you're trying to do and why what you're trying to do is important. And I think language could be inhibiting and could really get in the way. And so I'm glad you've done that. Dr. Sard, any questions from you or from the audience?
We have some questions in the audience, so it's in the Q&A section.
Okay, I will go there. I will go there and ask them then. Okay, so there's one question from an anonymous attendee. It says, if I heard you correctly, you are empowering the villages to the point where they work directly with government and not NGOs. If that's correct, I would love to understand the history of NGO engagements in Sierra Leone. What is the perception people have about NGOs, and how does that narrative impart your work? Great question.
Yeah, thank you very much for the anonymous kind of attendee. And I think this is really about one of the programs that Bernadette speaks to. It's what we refer to as our leadership engagement and development program. So this is actually where we are trying to empower communities to actually independently lead and independently design solutions and independently implement solutions to address their local problem, but ensuring that they are successful in implementing these projects. The conversation we had with these communities was actually focusing on what is sustainability to you as a community. And these communities were actually very conscious about they're leading this project and how they can ensure the sustainability of their projects and moving forward. So they recommended a creating platform with a local their local government institutions so that they continue to engage. Because one, there are a lot of expertise that are absent in this community that they needed their local governance and kind of structures to support them with. And also to ensure NGOs are never going to be in these communities forever. So we are there for some time and working with these communities, and we'll have to leave. But true empowerment is really actually building the capacity of communities that they continue to engage and also continue to be proactive and leading their own development aspirations without an NGO. So that's really what where we became much more intentional about creating this platform so that these communities can connect with their local governance structures, but also the government structures, and tap into already existing opportunities that they can use to their own advantage and also continue to improve the quality of life for everyone in their community. So it's really a kind of like not actually having a negative kind of perception about NGOs, but also an understanding that NGOs are never going to last in communities forever, but understanding that building a lasting capacity has to ensure that these communities continue to have platforms where they can advocate for the change that they want to see in their community. And that can only happen through engagement with their local government institutions and also engagement with the national government in the country.
Yeah, so like for example, we have the now P3, which is the agricultural sector, wherein we train these women. We believe we want them to become resilient. We are training them to capacitate themselves, even when OVP is no longer there in the community. So that's why we are creating a linkage, how best they can relate with the government, how best, like, let's say the food security. We have trained them on improving their income, on their household finances. They are now granted knowledge in best farming activity. So if we link them with their local government, it creates that partnership for them to be asking for more resources, like embarking on the Feed Salon project that is ongoing right now.
Thank you, Bernadette.
Yeah.
So I
Thank
hope
you, Bernadette.
that answered the question for the anonymous attendee.
You have. Well, we should have you for more time, but I know we're running out of time. And let me uh, just one clarification. I think when you say NGO, you're specifically talking about international NGOs, right? Is that right? Versus sort of local civil society organizations in Sierra Leone who you believe could have an active role to play.
Yeah, yeah. So
So that
yeah, just to
is
make
that
just to make a clarification. So NGOs is non-governmental organizations in Sierra Leone, but also we are currently leading the platform for the movement for community-led development in Sierra Leone, which is a kind of like a movement that comprises CSO, civil society organizations, and community-based organizations. So we are trying to look at different strategies to create a platform where we ensure communities projects continue to be sustainable.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me go to the next question and then I'll turn it over to Dr. Sar. So the question is, what does OneVillage need in terms of resources, human capital to continue enhancing capacity? This is from Professor Valeria La Saponara at UC Davis.
Yeah, thank you, Verena. This is a very critical kind of question. Yeah, we needed so many kind of things in terms of resources, and we needed what I would say that we needed this type of platform to share our story and to also hear feedbacks and to learn and adapt and how we continue to be more community-led. So we also needed trainings facilities like conference kind of trainings for our staff here in Sierra Leone, because we know working with community also needs a lot of capacity for our staff to continue to have opportunities where they can go and explore more opportunities, learn more new things, come and be able to actually adapt that into our work and continue to engage with our communities. So we needed that, or we needed more beyond that. We needed more in implementing this kind of programs. I think in Sierra Leone, we are one of those few organizations that are really more grounded in being community-led. I know there might be other organizations, but the reason why we continue to get the impact that we get is because we are very intentional about it, but also because we are open to learning. We are humble to learn and continue to improve the skills that we are already building up. So we will need resources in terms of like climate change resources, because currently we are also trying to develop programs that actually get communities to understand land rights, land tenure systems, but also understanding the impact of climate change in their community. So, yeah.
Thank you, Sheku and Bernadette. We're just a few minutes from closing out, so I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Sar for any final questions or comments that you might have. And I just want to say thank you to both of you for this presentation and hope to have you back again. This is just the beginning. I think we need more time and we need to really better understand all that you're trying to do and to see how we can be helpful to you. And I think you've given us some great ideas and creating a platform like this and also to find ways to facilitate and support your training needs as well. So you've actually given us some great ideas. So let me turn it over to Dr. Sar to close us out.
Well, thank you very much, Solomon, and thank you to Sheku and Bernadette. This was a very interesting conversation, a useful conversation. It's good to learn about your organization.